Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Michael 7 Michael, and you're watching, you know it, GEEKCASTER, everything sci-fi, fantasy, geek culture, geek content. And today we have in our studio the one, the only beautiful Dizazter. How you doing, Diz? So, Diz, I'm on Facebook, right? And I'm just checking out the feed, and I come across this amazing trailer. And we are so blessed to have them in the studio via the internet. We have Ito.
Hi, everyone.
And we also have Quantae.
I ain't playing. I'm not playing.
So I hit these guys up. I just leave a little message. I'm like, this was an amazing trailer. What is this about? And you guys have been so open and so cool. And I thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invite, sir.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a little bit of, play a little bit of this while we're talking, just so people could see. Oh my goodness, this is great. You know, especially, you know, we're always talking about special effects and talking about the production, really going hard on Marvel and DC and the stuff that they're doing. And to see an independent project looking this beautiful, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. And you guys are the creators of Popolo.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So tell everybody about this particular production and what makes it so special to you.
Which one want to go first, you?
Well, you're the director.
And again, this is called Devatha, correct?
Devatha.
Devatha, yeah. It's a Sanskrit word, and the translation, it means divinity. Hello?
Now,
Michael, can you hear
say
me?
it again? Yes. How do you say it?
It says Devatha.
Devatha.
So you don't say the A in the middle part.
Oh.
So Devatha, yeah.
Devatha. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a Sanskrit word. It means divinity.
Wow.
And the project actually started when we touring for Popolo. At that time, I think are we in Houston here, or was it in Charlotte? We're in Houston. Oh, okay, yeah. At that time, it was in Houston. We watched Batman versus Superman.
You see?
In Houston. So both of us kind of like come to the same conclusion. I mean, different train of thoughts and thinking about what makes it not a good film. But both of us agree that it's not, Batman versus Superman, it's not a good movie. I personally, I don't know, like everybody always compare the Marvel and the DC character. The superheroes are like the Greek gods of the modern day. But I felt like, I don't know, like I guess me growing up, when you seeing like all these fairy tales and gods, usually it's try to impart a lesson, or it's not just loud noises and actions, right? So I don't know, like I just look at all the trends about all this superheroes in comic book, and it never really say anything. So I secretly kind of like writing things down. And then when Q watching Batman versus Superman, Q was like, we need to make our own, superhero version, because like this is this and that. And then I just told Q that, hey, I actually secretly writing something. Would you like to take a look at it? And at that time I thought was like, I don't know. I mean, from Popolo, that's pretty crazy for us to just do second feature film, try to compete with Marvel, but somehow we did it. And then, if you want to add anything else, Q?
Oh, listen, straight up, this what happened. I left that theater hurt as a black man, because I can't buy into these superhero bullshit. And we're filmmakers, so spiritually, I said, let's come up with our own superhero that can beat Superman. and he has to be charged by his melanin. So when brothers see him, it will change the narrative of how we look at our skin. So I added my concept of the black superhero to Edo's story, and here comes the development of Devatha. And it's really the concept of we're remaking the Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's basically what we're redoing. And it's a coming of age story about a little girl, a little teenage Filipino high school girl who meets a monk. And the monk tells her she's the savior of the world. Very similar to Alice falling in a hole and talking to a rabbit, Dorothy and Oz, all of these stories about these other, the ethnic, there's just the Caucasian race, and it's always the girl coming of age. And all of our children and our women have to watch that, but they don't have a coming of age magical story type of deal, right? So on an island, this island is full of dark people, Filipinos, Hawaiians. I mean, it's so dark on this island, but they don't have a representation. And the young lady that's playing the role, that was one of her main things as an actress, leaving the island. She went to school in New York, Sarah Lawrence, came back to the island, and she wants to represent her race on that level. But to get on that level, there's nobody going to cast her in that role to put her on that level. Hell, they won't even cast Diz to be that girl on that level, so we can see a young African-American sister girl coming into Awakening. What if Diz, it was her, and she met a monk, and the monk tells her she's the savior of the world? The story starts from that. We would just follow Diz and what happens, how it develops. And on the way, we're telling life stories because the girl is at an all-girls school. Because we want to show how girls bully girls. We don't think girls bully girls because we don't see that part of Diz in their life. But we want to expose what young girls have to go through as they're coming up without having any type of role model in front of them as a superhero or a representative of color type of deal. So that's basically the whole foundation is that. Then we put stories on top of it, keeping in mind that we want to enlighten and edify women. So we had all female producers. And our lead villain is a woman. And we have women throughout the whole film that have major roles to where you can see the difference between different female characters, and it's not all about male-driven like Popolo was strictly male-driven. I think we had 2 women in Popolo, that's it. It's the change of the times. Someone has to take on Marvel and DC, and someone has to take on Marvel and DC by putting a woman in a very powerful position and of authority, action. And so we created our own kick-ass female action person that you can actually look at this woman that we're fighting and know that there are women out there that can get down with dudes. The only difference between us and women is testosterone. Outside of that, there's some women that can handle men on a physical level. We just don't show it.
So let me ask you this. Do you guys support and watch the films that have come out recently that do that?
Like what?
And like, for instance, Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel or any of those? Or do you feel that they're not doing it well?
They're not doing it at all.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if like I have a granddaughter, if I have her see that, what do I tell her? You can't do that because they don't look like you.
Okay.
That's just it. I mean, you can put false narrative up to say we're appeasing women, and we put them in these roles where we're sexually objectifying them. Wonder Woman was completely sexually objectified the whole time, and so is this other Captain Marvel. That I don't think a woman can look at that and be Wonder Woman, maybe, because they showed where she came from. But Captain Marvel, come on. I mean, when do we get tired of this?
And were there any concerns or obstacles as a director that you had to face, that you were like, you know what, I got to be careful with this, or I don't know how to approach this in the film?
In what sense, Michael? Are we talking about
like, for instance, were there any particular fight scenes or just interactions that you weren't sure how to? Because it's one thing to want to write stories and represent, but then again, you're not a woman. So,
True.
or you may not identify as one. I don't know. I don't want to guess. So, were there any things that you maybe leaned on some of your female producers to say, hey, what do you think I should do here, or how do I approach this part of the scene? Or were there, maybe there wasn't any obstacles for that for you?
Well, I mean, when we wrote it, we actually, of course, like have so many drafts and make sure that like everybody reading it, that it was somewhat not a very, how to say this? I felt, because like movie is, in one hand, it's like it has to appease everybody's point of view, but then at the same time, like to make it work, it has to stand out. It has to come from one point of view, right? So as far as it's like a problem with handling that situation, I don't think we really have that problem at all.
All right.
And as far as it's like, am I afraid of like working in this especially with this issue and subject? I don't know. I mean, honestly, like when I wrote, I just wrote. I don't think about, I don't think about what it says. I let the story and the character reveal itself of what they are wanting to say. So, and if you're thinking about like, oh, is this gonna, is it gonna come across this? Is it gonna come across that? Then, we're not gonna end up making anything because you're too worried about what is it gonna do. Instead, just doing it. At least that's from my end, but like, do you have any addition, Q? What do you think?
Yeah, Quantae, what do you think?
Well,
same answer, or there were things that you were hesitant on the film?
I looked at it like someone said to us about, you guys are just exploiting women, yada yada yada. That's what people were saying because of our concept. However, I'm an oppressor. I'm the male oppressor. If anybody knows what we're doing to women and what we need to stop doing, is the men. And so I don't really think I need to go to a woman about a story that I know we are doing to them to show, or to ask them, is this correct? I'm coming strictly from the position of being a man that know we oppress women. How can I fix what I know that we are doing, that I've done? And how can I convey that through my film very honest and positively? So when you see it, it's real life. It's a real life, genuine gift back to the woman of, listen, I understand. And we're going to do it this way, and I'm going to show you. So I'm not asking anybody what I know that we have done wrong, that I need to repent for. And I'm going to use this platform of films to do that. Like Popolo. Popolo is a word, it's a derogatory word that they have for black people in America and Hawaii. So when you hear Popolo...
This is on public TV, so you got to be careful. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a very derogatory word, and so when I heard that, my responsibility to the hurt that word caused is to unveil the truth about that word through my work. And so we taught the meaning of Popolo. It's a medicine plant that got lost in translation. In our movie, we teach them about the word where it originated from and how it bothers people in an action film that won 12 awards. So it's about using your platform for righteousness.
Come on, woman, you're gonna.
I do agree with a lot of the roles have been mostly male-driven. So with Marvel, I do feel like Wonder Woman was very sexualized, and I wasn't really a big fan of the film to begin with. Captain
DC?
Marvel, I haven't spoken that one. I haven't really seen it, and I have no interest in seeing it either.
Why? You're a woman.
I'm a black woman now.
Exactly.
Kind of as a child, I didn't relate to any of these things, and I still don't relate to any of these things. I mean, I'm
Michael,
a
that's
girl
missing.
now, but it's like being a little girl playing with Barbies. You didn't have one that looked like you.
And we don't understand that. We can't. Not on that level.
I also find, in reference to Captain Marvel, it's very interesting that they chose to use the female version of Captain Marvel. And I feel that they could have, and just a lot of the stories, how there's so many male characters that instead of just changing the gender of a character, I feel that they should just create other characters. You know.
Wait, so are you saying Captain Marvel is originally a guy?
Yeah.
No, he can't.
Well, he was,
Oh.
but they were also, I don't know if you guys into the comic books, but they were going to make a female Thor. I think they did make a female Thor. And there's so many stories and so many opportunities to just create new characters instead of just putting out the female version of. Let them stand and have their own backstory and move forward. So I don't know if you guys, how deep you're into comic books, and because that's a thing as well. You know, like, you know, Spider-Man. Oh, by the way, do you guys see Spider-Verse?
I have not. I heard a lot of good things about it, but I have not.
Because I think they did a really good job of showing not only diversity, but the first time seeing I would almost say a real Spider-Man. Even though Morales' character is another Spider-Man, but this is the first time you saw a Spider-Man in a contemporary setting. Most of the high school scenes are like stuck in the 60s or stuck in the 70s, and this is the first time you saw him in like a current high school, like a real current high school dealing with real things.
Now, is that the latest Spider-Man thing?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the cartoon one.
See, I got a problem. There you go. I got a problem.
The
with
cartoon one, right?
Cartoon. It was a cartoon. Really? I was so upset with that, but my nephew loved it, and he was all into it. He said Spider-Man looked like him. I'm like, bro, that was a cartoon. It was a cartoon. I'm sorry. I cannot keep allowing little things like this to slide by to another generation, and then they believe it when they should have had a black Spider-Man. Not Venom, but a black Spider-Man. It's as simple as that. But I don't complain about what they're doing because it is their stage. It is their show. And if you go knocking on someone's door and you want to be a part of their stage and their show, you got to do their dance to their music. And I have no problem with that. So that encouraged me to create our own stage and dance on our own stage to our own music and see who show up.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about that stage. So, are you guys finished with the film?
Yes, we're still editing though.
Yeah, we're in post-production, but we're finished with the production.
Okay. And how will potential fans, be able to grab hold of this? Will it be online? Will it be in the theaters? How are you going to distribute it?
We're going the exact same way Marvel went.
Okay.
No different. We go through the film festival circuit and pick up distribution, go through the theaters, then break it down to the video, the cable, and all the way. The same way they do it, we're going to do the same thing. No different. And if I want their outcome, I do what they do.
Okay. I like that.
It's a formula.
Is this a trilogy? Or is it a one film? Can we get like some sneak information going on here? They're stuttering, ladies and gentlemen. I got them.
It's just it's not because it's not about stuttering. Because when you ask trilogy, right? Honestly, Michael, like we know it's not going to be one film because the enemy. I don't know how well we explain the premise, but pretty much the villain of the world is, it's been what do you call it? There's 7 deadly sins being, pretty much like controlling behind the world behind the scenes, and that's why we have all this chaos, and that's why human behaving, badly, quote unquote, right? It's because of the 7 deadly sins. Right. So if we just look at 7, then maybe it's a 7 film, but we don't know yet. See, the story is keep evolving, but I know it's probably going to be more than 3, honestly.
Okay.
Nice.
Because our goal also, like when we're writing the story, is, for example, this movie, and hopefully we don't go into like a spoiler territory over here.
No, don't do
the
it.
enemy.
Well, nothing.
Well, the enemy is envy, right? So like what we're trying to do also is kind of like talk about, quote unquote, all these 7 deadly sins, and give some sort of like a fun meditation about it, like to actually examine to it, and like what is it about, and how do you overcome that, quote unquote, sin.
Gotcha. I like it. You know what it reminds me of, as you guys talk about it, and we got a chance a little bit to talk the other day. I get a feel of the old kung fu flicks. There's always like something supposed to learn. That's why I like the old kung fu flicks more than the newer ones, to be honest with you. I can watch those all day.
No, that's interesting, Michael, because like I felt like everybody always says that, but like what I notice is everyone that says that is always from the Western counterpart of it.
Wow.
It's always the Americans or like the Europeans that actually says that, right? No, and it's interesting because like now I realize because like I don't grow up in America. Like I grew up in Indonesia, so like okay. I'm like Asian fresh off boat, if you want to put me in a box like that, right?
Right.
And like I don't grow up watching superheroes. Like for us, the concept of like somebody put a different pants and costume,
right,
and then save whatever you gotta save, is a bizarre idea.
Right.
Do you know who is our superheroes? Because then I was kind of like, well, but then what's all of this stories about? If you look at like, for example, Dragon Ball, like the anime stuff, right? Because that's where it starts with the comic, right? So in the Western part of it starts from comic.
Right.
The Asian part starts with animation. You don't see a lot of characters that they have to wear certain things in order to save the world. Right. They just did, right? And then like all of the kung fu movies, that's pretty much all of our superheroes, but we just never label it as a superhero.
Right.
So that's number 1, right? Number 2, like all of this quote unquote kung fu movies that we watch, it always carry a message, right? Like you said, like that's one thing that you guys always notice, and I guess that's what I mean when I watch Batman vs Superman. I felt like you guys creating this almost godlike character, but not teaching anything about being a godlike. Well, like when we watch all these movies with, and whether we want to call it kung fu or all these extraordinary human beings, it tried to teach a point to be a godlike quality. And I think it's because of that. That's why I'm kind of like, let's bring some Eastern influence into the Western market.
Okay.
Because like Star Wars is also, believe it or not, Star Wars is actually inspired. A lot of it is by Japanese film. Yeah.
For R2D2, specifically R2D2 and 3PO are actually from
Agent Fortress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another film too. I think it's the Dead. Seven Sins.
The Seven Samurai, you mean?
The Seven Samurai. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. I know some things. You might get the name wrong, but I know some things.
No, I'm not saying anything.
So what are you guys most excited about in this whole journey? I know you're excited to get it done, but let me ask this way. What have you learned in the process of making this that's got you most excited? Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that got us excited? Oh, okay.
What did I learn that got me excited?
Yeah, in this process of making this.
People are afraid of spirituality because they can't put it in a box and they can't put their hands on it. It's like a grease pole. And so when you come with something that you're not labeling as a certain denomination and you come in with spirituality, that throws the industry off, that throws people off, and that makes me very happy.
Interesting.
Yeah, it makes me very excited. Because one thing Hollywood does, and everyone wants to do, is tell you, okay, what's your genre? Who's your target market? And they give you all this, try and pigeonhole you and your project into a box so they can know who you are and what you're doing and what to do with you. But if they can't do that, they're very confused. What about you, Edo?
I don't know. I'm still thinking about this. No, because like excited, huh? Because like as far as like learning, I learned a lot. Because like when you mentioned about the spirituality of it, like I thought it was interesting, because I went through, I guess like after Popolo for some reason, I went through a depression, and my way of dealing with it is actually reading a lot of all the religious book you can think of.
Okay.
From and I'm not talking about I'm talking like literally go to the sources in a sense of like their literature source, right? So like for Christianity it's the Bible, for the Jewish it's Torah, and then for the Hindu it's the Gita and all that kind of stuff. And I just found like a similar, well, not pattern I guess, but like a message is keep repeating itself, like the same messages. So like when we wrote Devatha together, like I told Quantae also, so let's just say if the world get a reset button, right? if we turn into apocalypse, humanity dies, an alien shows up, and then movies is the only thing that they, that they have to kind of like understand who is, what is Earth and what is humanity. I wanted Devatha to be like the Bible, and when I use this word not as like Christianity, but as like the source of the book. What do they think about? How do human being in Earth process spirituality? And so when we both of us read it, it comes from that mindset. And I guess with Quantae, he's excited. With me, I'm more confused with the fact that people responding. No, with people responding, kind of like, for me, it's revealing because like people are so attached to their box. So that's why, like, I don't know if I'm excited. It's more about sad, honestly, because like the point of.
But I think, because I don't want to. You left it on such a good note, and I just questioning and leaving things open for people and just creating a whole new world, which you obviously did. But I don't want to leave without people knowing your website, social media, so they can support. So what would all that information be?
You can go to facebook.com/Devatha movie. Okay. That's for the Facebook. Instagram @Devatha movie also.
Where can we send a donation to you guys if we have?
Dun dun dun. Wink wink.
You don't have a box. What about your email? Put your email out so if someone wants to invest or donate, you can contact Edo.
Yeah, do that.
Okay. My email address is edo and then Natasha NATASHA @matahariLLC.com.
Awesome. And we'll come up with a link or something because we're 30 seconds because we got to stay on time with this left. But we will work on getting you a simpler email address, sir.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.